Okay, this will probably be a bit controversial, but here's just three things off the top of my head. First off, when this movie came out, it looks kinda cool, but I was also like almost 4 years younger. But, anyways, one of the biggest things this movie's talked about is music soundtrack, which that's opinionated. Which I had no problem with it. Sunflower by Post Malone was okay. And the Juice WRLD song was, I guess, fine. And then the other thing is the animation is talked about how amazing it is. It's pretty good at times, but I don't really see how people see it's amazing. When he takes the leap of faith, that looks awesome. But just like looking at their facial designs and half the movie doesn't really look good. Just looking at background characters when watching the movie doesn't really look good. But I know most people don't put detail and shit in animated movies into background characters. But it still just doesn't look the best to me. Looks fine. It's pretty good. And it took years to make, so I get it. But it was decent. Not amazing like most people said. Another thing is it took elements from like a bunch of different comics and like kind of changed it. I've read a few Miles Morales comics. There's one where they face Scorpion in the beginning and he's still learning his powers. Him and his uncle get in a fight because his uncle wants him to join him and be a bad guy with him. He accidentally kills him. He's also wearing the suit from the movie. I read this way before Into the Spiderverse came out, I'm pretty sure. But he's wearing like the suit from the movie that he starts with and has for basically the entire movie. That red suit. People call him Disgrace. People think Spider-Man's alive for a while. He changes his suit after Prowler's already dead. So I guess it's kind of the same. But he's the one that kills him. He accidentally electrocutes him to death, which is pretty dark. But they also showed that Peter had depression after Mary Jane divorced him. So, I don't know. Because instead they decided that Kingpin should just shoot him in the back and kill him. They decide that with a lot of things. Is that Kingpin should be the one to kill people instead of what actually happens in most of the comics. Because in the main error, when Miles dies, not Miles, Peter dies, it's by the ultimate Green Goblin when he finally gets to his true form. He's like this giant motherfucker. And this one, he's like way bigger than he should be. He's still, I guess they tried to make him look intimidating, but he was only in like the first 5 seconds of the movie. Then he never showed up again. It was mostly Prowler. And then he got killed off. Then it only became like Tombstone and Scorpion and Doc Ock, and that was it. Kingpin kills off Spider-Man in this, even though in the comics it's Green Goblin, which I don't really mind them changing, but it's weird. There's also the fact that usually in most comics, Kingpin's family is alive. His motivation for doing this in the movie is that his family's dead. Because in most comics they're alive. And he just tries to hide who he really is. There's one with Daredevil where Spider-Man has to stop Daredevil from killing Kingpin's wife because he really wanted revenge on Kingpin. But yeah, his wife was perfectly fine and healthy. But in this one, his wife and his son are dead after they find out who he really is and they get in a car wreck. Nicolas Cage was a weird choice for Spider-Man Noir, but I guess he was okay with what he was given, because he barely did anything in this movie. But I just wasn't a huge fan of this movie. Had a few funny jokes here and there, a few cool action scenes, but I really don't see what people found so good about this movie. I really don't. There's nothing wrong with it. I guess it wasn't my type of movie. But it had like a bunch of different elements, and it might end the world, and it might kill like all the Spider-Man people in the end. It's kind of like that one Spider-Man comic with that vampire guy, not Morbius. I don't know. It was like a vampire family. They like killed all those spiders and they hunted them all. Personally, though, probably one of the things that kept me out of the movie is that Miles Morales is probably my least favorite Spider-Man out of like all of them. Don't get me wrong, I like him. He's perfectly fine. I like him in the comics. He's decent in this movie. He was decent in Spider-Man PS4, but I haven't played Miles Morales yet. But Miles Morales has always been my least favorite out of all of them. Nothing wrong with him. But I prefer Ben Reilly or Scarlet Spider, aka Kane Parker, Spider-Man O'Hara, Magilla O'Hara, I think that's how you say it. Just Spider-Man 2099, I guess. Spider-Punk. They're just a lot more entertaining ones to me. Though he does have cool powers, and he's whooped plenty of people's asses. Like before I mentioned with Scorpion in that one comic I read. He whooped his ass. Prowler barely had to help him. But he did have to help him a little bit. Scorpion was kind of wasted in this movie. If he wasn't in this movie, it would have made no difference. Doc Ock would have a little bit. Though her thing is so fucking stupid. Like, I'm pretty sure she's in that one scene. And when Miles is actually going to the high school or whatever, I think it's college actually. I don't know for sure though. Or whatever, he's going to a school, and then like there's a movie playing about alternate realities and stuff. I think that was her. But we get like one scene with her, and she's talking to Peter and talking about how she's the biggest fan and how she thought he was dead. And then, it's revealed she's actually Doc Ock. Like, that was our first scene with her. It's not a huge surprise. Like, they did it way better with, like, Prowler and Miles' relationship when... Oh, shit, it's Prowler. That's my uncle. And then Doc Ock was just, like, immediately it was supposed to be a twist. I don't know. But that's about it. That was only my real problem, was just them changing some stuff. It doesn't really matter though. Oh, and that thing with them introducing like all the characters. They introduced Spider-Man. Spider-Man dies, so they do the alternate realities one. Do it Spider-Ham and all of them. It just really isn't that entertaining. It's kind of boring. I think they kind of realized that halfway through. That's it though.